61st edition of the Vuelta España brings the professional peloton face-to-face with 1,944 miles of tough climbs, 2 individual time trials and plenty of sprint action. Back from the final Grand Tour, the 2006 season, plenty of big names too are lined up to compete for this year's title of race champion. Last year's winner, Denis Menchoff, returns to defend his crown, with top Tour de France contenders Oscar Pereiro and Carlos Sastre battling alongside. The race for the overall looks to be a highly contentious one. Also campaigning for the shot at redemption, Alethandro Valverde is on the comeback trail, while wildcard Alexander Vinokurov returns to the cycling circuit, backed by his new team Astana. And for the Americans, it's Discovery Channel rider Tom Danielson who rides as team leader, and he's determined to improve on his 7th place last year. Highlights from all the stages, including today's ride into Madrid, where this year's champion will be crowned. The 2006 Vuelta España is next on OLN. Yes, to the Vuelta España, the 61st edition of this great race. I'm Phil Liggett. Alongside me is Paul Sherwen. And this, the last big Grand Tour of a very controversial season. Paul, why is this so significant?
Well, I've always enjoyed the Vuelta España. I think over the last couple of years it's become much more important for a lot of riders because they base the end of the season and, of course, the upcoming World Championships on the Vuelta.
Well, 189 riders facing up to their long journey around Spain. The race will in fact start in the far south in Malaga, where it is very, very hot, even though it is the month of September. And the riders opening with the team time trial. Well, an update on the doping news, which has been a significant part of this year's season. The Tour de France, Floyd Landis, well, his lawyer, Howard Jacobs, has now submitted a motion to the United States Anti-Doping Agency saying they should dismiss the charges for his high testosterone reading this year because he says that the tests are flawed. Well, we'll see if he gets on with that one. But also the German investigators have raided Jan Ullrich's house in Switzerland while indeed he was on his honeymoon with his new wife Sarah, taking away information, and they say that there will be no more comment from them for some weeks. While the former professional Frankie Andreu has admitted using banned substances such as EPO during his professional career. Andreu is now retired.
Yeah, but Phil, I think on a more positive note, we have to admit that cycling has been very transparent in its battle against drugs, and of course it is the leader in the race to try and stop it. And I think we're actually now starting to see a winning battle going forward.
Well, of course, no Floyd Landis here, and this race now is wide open. Just who are going to be the big challengers? Well, one, I think, Paul, is Alethandro Valverde. He crashed out on Belgian roads very early on in the Tour de France and broke his collarbone. He's back and wants to do well here. Valverde has never won a major tour, and indeed he's never led one yet either. The man he might face is Alexander Vinokurov. Vinokurov is a rider who was not able to start the Tour de France because in the end his team didn't have enough riders. He's still smarting over that, could be back here by way of a revenge.
Yes, and I don't think you can discount Carlos Sastre. Very good in the Tour de France this year, finished in 4th place overall. He's the man who can always count on to attack when we get into the big mountain passes, and he would certainly like to win his home tour, the Vuelta a España. But of course, I think it's also going to be a race for the American, Tom Danielson, now coming of age. He's going to try and lead Discovery Channel, and who knows, he might get himself into a podium position at the end of this 3-week race when it gets up towards Madrid.
Well, those are just a few names. There are many more, of course, competing in this year's Vuelta España. The route itself will start now in the far south in Malaga.
A very long route, yes, starting right at the southern part of the peninsula with a 7.3-kilometre time trial before the riders start to move up to the north, going through Cordoba, heading right up through the middle of Spain before eventually, when they get to the first big mountain, the ski resort at Covatilla, then heading up towards Galicia, right in the very heart of the Spanish regions. Then moving along the northern part of the Spanish borders as they start to come back down again to head right through the middle, just missing Spain's capital, Guadalajara, just on the outskirts. Then the big time trial in Cuenca before getting down to the Mediterranean coast, down to Almeria before the long journey back up through the middle with a very difficult finish at Sierra de la Pandera, then into Jaén on the way right up. The final individual time trial on Saturday before the race then finishes in the heart of Madrid.
Yes, the first week is in the mountains, so too is the last week in all 5 mountain stages. The team time trial to begin with, 2 individual time trials and a couple of rest days. One is really a travel day. A total of just over 1,900 miles, 21 teams. The defending champion after the disqualification last year of Roberto Heras is Denis Menchoff. All right, well, that's the scene set for you now. Let's have a look where we're going on this opening day of racing. Very, very hot in Malaga, but just over 7 kilometers of racing in a team time trial. And the best team will get the lead. And, of course, the first man of that team to cross the line will get the first golden jersey, as it is.
Well, one of the early teams, Team Milram, went out very fast indeed. This is the team basically of sprinters. Alessandro Petacchi on the comeback trail, but of course the man who's trying to get the first golden jersey, Eric Zabel, leaving his team home with the best time at this point.
Alessandro Petacchi back in that team after his knee injured in the Giro d'Italia. Well, one of the teams that everybody's looking forward to is this team here in Spain of Case d'Apan, because the man in white, the leader of the Pro Tour competition, is Alessandro Valverde, and this race this year means an awful lot to him, and they were up amongst the leaders at this stage.
Very fast, all of the teams going out quite rapidly, but Alejandro Valverde trying to lead his team home. When they come up, they're trying to dislodge Milram, the sprinters team, from the top of the leaderboard, and of course you can see that it's going to go very close at this point. The time to beat 7:44 and 7:43 for Case d'Apan Lille Baleares, a brand new best time.
Clock stopped on the 5th man of the team to cross the line as we now swing out to Team CSC here, and CSC pulling out a great ride and putting their Spanish favourite up front, Carlos Sastre, first across the line, best team time, and that means that the first golden jersey will indeed go to Carlos Sastre, the rider who finished 4th in the Tour de France and is waiting to hear if indeed he is now in 3rd place in that race. Third situation, Sastre on top, the whole team of course members of CSC. He'll get the first leader's jersey. And there he is, Paul, the first golden jersey of the Tour, and a lead for him.
Good lead for him and a very solid team lead as well. But going into the first week, Phil, it's all about the sprinters.
So coming up then, the sprinters in this opening week. Yes, McEwen is here, so too is Thor Hushovd. We'll take a break.
There is a place for one-of-a-kind events.
Here they are, locked together in battle.
One-of-a-kind championships. And one-of-a-kind champions. Whether it's team versus team, city versus city, or country versus country, they all celebrate victory on the network where everyone's in it to win it. Versus, starting September 25th.
The all-new Acura RDX with real-time traffic. Puerto Rico. Explore beyond the shore.
Hey guys, great news. I'm back with the Cialis Promise program. Here's the deal. If you have ED, try Cialis for the first time free. They're so confident you'll like Cialis. If you don't, They'll pay for a sample of the ED tablet of your choice. That's the Cialis promise. Get all the details at Cialis.com. See how having up to 36 hours lets you choose when the moment is right. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience priapism, an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away. Discover the Cialis Promise Program. Are you ready?
Welcome back to our coverage of the 2006 Vuelta España. The riders now set to go into the heat of the interior of Spain as they start stage number 2. We're heading north now towards Cordoba.
167 kilometers, a climb away from the Mediterranean, but a very fast run in towards the finish.
And as always from the relaxed team, when they ride the Tour of Spain, they always put a man ahead of the course. No change today. This is Mario Di Saraga out front for an awful long way, but the peloton now are getting close to him, just over 15 kilometers, around about 10 miles, and there is the catch. And Team Milram trying to control this race now, but is it for Alessandro Pataki or indeed, Paul, Eric Zabel today?
Well, I think over the first week it's going to be for Eric Zabel. Pataki still trying to find his form, having broken his kneecap in the Giro d'Italia in the month of May, still trying to get himself back on condition, and that's why he's come here to the Vuelta a España.
Well, all 189 riders except one now, because this is a shame. Inside the last couple of kilometers, Carlos Sastre in the golden jersey has a flat tire. That means he'll lose that jersey today. He won't in fact lose any time. He gets the 3-kilometer benefit of the rules here. Here's the battle for the line now, though, and it's shoulder to shoulder. Bettini trying to come through as well. Tor Hushovd is in the screen. Hushovd is sprinting extremely well, and this is shoulder to shoulder. Hushovd is in the middle, but Bettini, the champion of Italy, has snatched only his second ever stage win in a Vuelta España. And that indeed is 54th win of his career. Winning over Hushovd, Paolini and McEwen, not looking quite as sharp as he was in the Tour de France, in 4th place.
Well, Paolo Bettini is a man you can always count on. He's a fast finisher, not one of the great sprinters, but certainly a very clever rider.
And there is Tor Hushovd, has got his hands now on the race leader's jersey, just by 2 seconds over Bettini. Hushovd, in fact, got a couple of seconds time bonus out on the course. Remarkable situation, because the Norwegian, who's the first ever green jersey win in the Tour de France, now gets the first ever golden jersey here. Onward we go, and stage number 3.
Taking the riders 220 kilometers right into the heart of Spain from Cordoba to Almenara.
Well, 220 kilometers, long hot days these, and temperatures soaring here in excess of 100 degrees Fahrenheit for the whole field. As they now continue to try and bring back the breakaways, David De La Fuente of Sony Duval, Enrico Franzoy of Lampre. These are the 2 riders who have been clear, but it's all over now on these long straight roads. They're not conducive to breakaways, and neither is that clear blue sky. It is so hot down here.
We're looking at 35 degrees Celsius over the opening days of the Vuelta a España here, but this is a very good last move here by one of the riders from Sonia Duval, but I think Team Milram have got it pretty much under control.
In fact, this is a remarkable piece of pacemaking here by David Miller, and if he looked over his shoulder, he'd find he hasn't got the riders on his back wheel he was expecting here, but that's a very tricky right-hand bend here. And in fact, Miller looks over now and finds he hasn't got Ventoso on his back wheel and swings out of it. This is leaving the battle for the line now for Team Milram to go for it as they race up towards the line, and also getting in the act now. Well, Zabel is in the mix here, so too is Hushovd. A little bit of pushing there, but now Ventoso's found his way out of it, and Roberto Ventoso, the youngster on Sonia Duval, well, Miller's teamwork may not have been in vain, because Ventoso gets it right on the line, and again, Tor Hushovd is there in 2nd place.
Well, there's Hushovd over on the right-hand side in the golden jersey. That will extend his lead, because he'll pick up a 12-second time bonus, and he will be very happy with that move.
Onward to stage number 4 now. We're into the centre of the Vuelta here as we move through Spain now, heading due north all of the way. Another long ride, 142 kilometres. More importantly, a long, hot day. And this is Raul Garcia de Mateo from the Relax team. He was the sacrificial lamb today, swept up. All that's left now is yet another group sprint finish here. And this is again another big effort coming out of Team Milram, who haven't a lot to show for the Vuelta so far.
It looks like Pataki right in the middle there, trying to lead out Eric Zabel up into second place. Robbie McEwen not too far away. There's a move coming over on the right-hand side. There's Paolo Bettini also looking very prominent.
Well, just looking over to the left of our picture here, is this going to be the day for Eric Zabel? I've lost count of his second and third places this season. Eric has got it on the line, and no need to remind you who's got second, because that is the third second place by Thor Hushoff, who's building a little lead in the points competition.
Well, I'll tell you what, Phil, I don't think anybody will be upset about this victory. Almost 199 wins for Eric Zabel, but Thor Hushoff is starting to increase his lead, with Zabel up into second place.
3 days in the golden jersey now for the Crédit Agricole Norwegian rider. And so Hushoff keeps on top of that. So, as we got Thor Hushoff in goal, we'll take a break and we'll continue with the Vuelta España. See you in a moment.
The Hawaiian Islands were born of fire, and that fire is still with us today. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's less so. It can be inviting or surprising. But no matter how hot it gets, it just leaves you hungry for more.
The people of Hawaii would like to share their islands with you in a photo gallery. Fan the flames at gohawaii.com/picture.
What is character? Is it in your blood? Or can it be learned? Is it timeless? Is it obvious? Or is it impossible to define? Will you recognize it when you see it? Not if you have to ask. Hennessy BS Cognac, pure character.
No. It's too small.
Autoclaustrophobia. It affects more people than you think. But there's hope on the horizon, and it's called the Nissan Versa. Versa provides relief with best-in-class rear seat legroom. Versa keeps you going for over 400 miles on just one tank. Versa will save the world from autoclaustrophobia, one driver at a time. Ask your Nissan dealer if Versa is right for you.
That is sweet.
My pride and joy.
It looks new.
Like right out of the showroom.
That is one great look.
Whoa, hold on, honey. Showing Tom the floor.
Nice floor, Joan.
Make your garage floor the envy of the neighborhood with Rust-Oleum Epoxy Shield, America's best-selling premium garage floor coating. Just prep and go. Simple as painting a wall. Easy to clean and resist peeling. This all-inclusive kit is available at home centers, hardware stores, and automotive retailers near you. For a high-gloss showroom finish, top coat with Epoxy Shield premium clear coating.
To pee.
Here you go.
Thank you.
How was your day, honey? Excellent.
Live life in the fast lane. Sign up for Comcast high-speed internet for just $29.99 a month for 3 months. At ridiculously quick speeds, it's faster than DSL and dial-up. And now with Power Boost, your fast connection is even faster. Just call 1-800-COMCAST. Comcast high-speed internet with Power Boost. It's Comcastic.
Check out the new hit movies you can order on demand. And look what you can order right now. Death is coming again. Final Destination 3, now on demand. The Masters of Spoof are back.
So sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I've taken bullets to the face before.
And no one is safe.
I love this woman! I love this woman!
Scary Movie 4, now on demand. Hit movies without the trip to the video store. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable.
Welcome back, and the Tour of Spain is now heading mountain climbing early this time around. Over 500 kilometers already covered. The sprinters have had a great time so far. It will change on this stage.
Again, a fairly long stage, 178 kilometers for the riders. It's undulating to begin with, but what's very important is the ski resort at the end, the Covatilla in Béjar region of Spain. A very difficult end to the day.
It certainly is. It's an all-category climb, which means outside category, and it looks already in trouble here. This is on the earlier climb, Lagunilla. And that is Tor Hushovd, who's had enough. He's going to concentrate, I would suspect, now on keeping the lead in the points competition, because his golden jersey is up for grabs today.
Well, Cabeza de la Carrera, that is the front end of the race. A climb around about 9% in gradient here, and you can see already a lot of riders not happy with the pace. The first big taste of the mountains here in the Vuelta a España this year. And, of course, a lot of riders from Team CSC on the front as they go over the top of this second category climb, the Lagunilla. And I can see, Phil, a lot of riders already in distress.
Well, the time gap of just 2:26, that's on the group we saw there, which is being led by Michael Rasmussen, who didn't have a great Tour de France. But another rider, his teammate here, this is Dennis Menchoff, is not showing any form at all right now. He's been in trouble on the other stage. He's in big trouble on this climb. But let's remind ourselves too, on September the 25th, OLM becomes Versus, and a new era in sports television will begin. Versus celebrates competition in all its forms, including the NHL, the Tour de France, and the PBR. And we're looking here now at Inigo Landoluz, former winner of the Dauphiné Libéré race. He was in the breakaway, and he's just about hanging on off the nose of them right now. But I think it's all over, because the peloton, Paul, is closing in. But it's not the full peloton. They are under a great deal of pressure here.
A lot of riders having a lot of problem here in the Vuelta a España, not only with the climbs here this afternoon, Phil, but also with the terrible heat which seems to have come over the Tour of Spain over the last couple of days. Eric Zabel always rides well in races like this. He's a great competitor, you know. I appreciate the way Zabel is one of those few riders left in the sport who can race from January right the way through until October.
Well, this is unusual to see Vinokurov here, because he's now losing ground from the group and under pressure, perhaps lacking a little bit of race experience with his team. Not starting the Tour de France, of course. Danilo De Luca is really turning the screw at the front on the finishing climb, and De Luca, remember, no wins at all this year, and Mayo is in trouble.
Well, this man is a very strange rider. You know, he's an enigmatic rider. We expect him to ride well in the mountains. Sometimes he does, and sometimes he just doesn't.
You get a little idea of just how steep this climb is now. Danilo De Luca here looks as though he's been joined by Brakovic. This is the new youngster on the Discovery Channel team, because Tom Danielson doesn't seem to be riding like Vinokurov at the moment.
Well, that's Kashakin going forward there, the champion of Kazakhstan. He's just leaving behind him Alejandro Valverde and Carlos Sastre. This man is having a fine season this year. They're trying to make contact with that group of riders just in front of them. Coming up to the top of the climb here, that group which was Rasmussen's group is starting to splinter, and Alejandro Valverde looks to be grimacing a fraction.
I'm not surprised. We're in the dizzy heights now. This is the top of La Covetilla, and the victory there by De Luca as he comes up now towards the line. He'll be the king of the mountains. Now, is he going to be the race leader here? As he started to open up his sprint for the line, Brakovic, the only man who could go with him, and is losing ground here. This is going to be a first stage win of this year, first win of any sort for Danilo De Luca, who's now nearly 31 years of age. He gets the victory, and that's only his second ever stage victory as well in a Vuelta a España.
There's Kashakin coming through for third place, and a little bit further back is Gomez Marchante. He's a young rider to take note of, because Pedro Delgado told me early in the season, watch out for this kid because he's going to be good. And the next two guys in, Carlos Sastre and Valverde, are going to lose themselves around about 22 seconds on the line.
Looking now at a replay here, and there's the happy smiles coming from Danilo De Luca. But what about the youngster behind? I think Johan Brunel has found himself a good one. Janis Brakovic, same time as Danilo De Luca. Kashakin at 7, Gomez Marchant at 15, and Carlos Sastre in there too. Valverde slipping a little bit, only second, but significant perhaps. Samuel Sanchez doing a good ride. Tommy Danielson in 10th place at just on 3/4 of a minute. Danilo De Luca salutes the crowd very shortly. He's going to pull on that golden jersey, and that will be a first time ever lead in the Tour of Spain for him. That's the overall situation. Brakovic up to second now. Will he become the leader of the Discovery Channel team? Because Danielson and Beltran are the next best there, 7th and 8th. Bernard Cole and Samuel Sanchez completing the top 10. And there's the golden jersey, Paul, Danilo De Luca.
This man is a great class act. Let's not forget he was the winner of the inaugural Pro Tour last year, as the riders now head out onto a very flat stage. And this should be a stage for the sprinters, stage 6, 155 kilometers, just inside of 100 miles.
As we head north now to Leon, we're getting up towards the northern part of Spain now as we traverse up the eastern sector of the country. The western sector of the country rather, and the peloton again choosing to stay together all the way to the line again today. Hardly any breakaways. There was the lead out again by David Miller, but no signs of Ventoso. Can he pull out something special? He's done a lot of work in the race so far, the British rider Miller. But once more, Milram now looking to lead out Zabel for the win.
Well, Eric Zabel being looked after and being led out there by Alessandro Pataki. Zabel's down there in third place, but there's a big move coming over on the right-hand side, and that looks like Greipel of T-Mobile.
Well, it's shoulder to shoulder here now. Thor Hushovd is trying to break in too, and we've also got Greipel there of T-Mobile in the centre. And Greipel just out-sprinted this time, no second place for Thor Hushovd. He's got the victory, and that will increase his lead in the points competition. Zabel in third, and Pataki showing his first sign of good form in fourth. There's Thor Hushovd, though, the new stage winner, but he won't do anything to the overall lead. That will still stay for the second day on the shoulders of Danilo De Luca, just by a few seconds over Brakovic. So the tour goes on as we move steadily but surely back towards the hills, and still no sign of a clear leader. We'll be back with more on Alexander Vinokurov. See you in a moment.
OLN Survivor Wednesdays continues.
This is a very different Survivor.
With the season of firsts.
We don't have a clue what's happening next.
Plunge into Survivor Palau. Never before has Survivor been so dangerous.
Oh my God!
So outrageous.
Bobby John is totally turning into a caveman. He scares me.
So intense.
Don't tell me what to do, Katie. Get off me!
It's a no-holds-barred fight to the ultimate finish. Survivor Wednesdays Palau continues Wednesday at 7 p.m. on OLN.
Before my wipers streak or my belt start to squeak, I know I'm gonna catch it on time.
AutoZone has the people, parts, and advice it takes to stop trouble before it starts.
Nobody knows your car like you do. Nobody knows what it needs like we do. AutoZone.
So what's this about the bottle?
Well, you know how we look so fit in our swim trunks.
Yes.
I've discovered that our Guinness draft has only 125 calories.
Only 125 calories? Brilliant! What else are you working on?
You know how your skin burns if you're on the beach too long?
Yes, it stings like the dickens.
Well, I've invented a lotion that protects you from the sun's rays.
Brilliant! Brilliant!
Guinness Draft has only 125 calories. Enjoy it responsibly.
Brilliant!
We're about to release the Brute Force 750 and 650 4x4i. But before we do, we'd like to run them past the guys here at corporate.
Round to go!
I think that's a thumbs up from corporate.
Get a deal on a Warren winch with any new Kawasaki 4x4 ATV.
Do not attempt any of what you are about to see, or hear, or smell. Jackass #2, rated R, starts this Friday, only in theaters.
Baby, you can't leave me. I didn't know you didn't like that.
Look, Melissa, you know I like you, but I just don't see where this relationship is heading. Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, let's go.
There's a better way to phone for less.
Sweet. Vonage!
Unlimited local and long distance calling, just $24.99 a month. Sign up now and get 1 month free.
I'll do anything you want.
Vonage, one smart decision among many, many stupid ones. Call 1-800-975-3925.
Welcome back to the Vuelta España. We're heading now towards top of a big mountain again as we pass through 1,000 kilometers on today's stage, and Danilo De Luca should again come under pressure after 2 days in gold.
Well, heading right up into the heart of Galicia. It's a very long drag up towards the finish at the end. It's 148 kilometers, the 7th stage, but as you can see from the profile, it's fairly difficult getting up to that finishing climb of Alto de Morderoa.
Well, the peloton on the climbs here, and once again, Denis Menchoff, he's not looking like a man who's going to see Madrid right now because he has not enjoyed this opening week of the Tour at all. This is David Loosely, who's riding extremely well on the Lamprey team, setting a good pace. The peloton getting thinner by the minute.
Tell you what, this is all because of the pressure being put on at the front here by Alexander Vinokurov, and of course this is putting pressure onto the shoulders of this man at the back, Danilo De Luca. He's not looking like a solid leader of this race right now.
No, and he was nurturing thoughts of going pretty well after he picked up that leader's jersey, but he's gone gently but surely off the back here now, and Alexander Vinokurov, who struggled on the first mountain stage, seems to have gone through that bad patch and is now driving very, very hard. This is loosely, but I think he's going to have company pretty shortly.
He's going to get himself pulled back into the fold, and you can see the big acceleration coming now. That looked very much like the white jersey of Alejandro Valverde. There is Alexander Vinokurov. He is also under a serious amount of pressure, trying to ride himself back into this race. Phil, let's not forget, most of his season was based on performing in the Tour de France, but his team was not allowed to start.
Well, the rider who got up to loosely there was in fact Brakovic, and he's got across at about 2 kilometres to go. Now a good result there could be the next golden jersey going that way. But you can see now, setting the pace in the chase there was Valverde. But look at this now, because Vinokurov has gone through and been wiped away here. That was a superb attack, and it's now racing for the line here. Valverde, Sastre, as they come up towards the line now, and it looks as though Alessandro Valverde has not only won the stage, but he might well have done enough here to take over the golden jersey. But if it doesn't go to him, Paul, it'll go to Brakovic.
Well, it's only going to be a question of seconds, but that was a superb comeback there by Valverde. This man is unbelievable, the way he can time his sprints at the top of some of these mountain passes. And there is Vinokurov just coming in there, but he will have moved up a fair way in the overall classification. As you can see, Stein de Volder just coming in for discovery as well. But this, Phil, is the man of the day.
Well, let's have a look at the stage result. Valverde hasn't had a win since April because of his injuries. He's back now, 4 seconds ahead of Sastre, 6 on Gomez. Looking further down there, Tom Danielson finishing over 3 minutes behind, almost 3.5. Still not climbing very, very well at all. Let's go to the podium. There he is. Alethandro Valverde is back, no better place than in your home Tour, and nudging closer to the golden jersey, but hasn't quite got it yet. 5 seconds he sits now behind the new leader of the Tour, Yanis Brakovic, this big find on Discovery Channel. Tom Danielson, a lot of work to do in 18th place, 4 minutes and 15 seconds behind his teammate at the moment. He'll have to work for him. There's Brakovic on the podium, and the first ever lead in a Grand Tour from him. Well, one big name we expect to talk about is Alexander Vinokurov. Let's join Paul Sherwen, who'll give our Audi profile.
Alexander Vinokurov is a man on a mission. Deprived of the opportunity to ride this year's Tour de France, he was forced into the role of spectator. Following a strong 2005 race, it was a frustrating situation which he dearly wants to erase with a successful campaign here in Spain. Vinokurov burst into the 2005 Tour and achieved a very good third-place finish in the opening time trial. On stage 11, Vino topped the Tour's highest summit, the Col de Galibier, in a breakaway, outsprinting companion Santiago Botero at the finish to the stage victory. And then, sitting in 6th place overall on the last day, he showed true fighting spirit to take the stage win on the Champs-Élysées and make an emphatic statement by claiming 5th place overall. With Vinokurov's contract up with T-Mobile at the end of last year, he looked for a team that would give him the leadership role in 2006. The team turned out to be Manolo Sainz, Liberty Seguros. However, Vinokurov's 2006 came to a grinding halt. First by the withdrawal of the sponsor Liberty Seguros in May, and finally when his team was excluded from the Tour de France one day before it started. But now, with a coalition of companies from Kazakhstan taking over the sponsorship of Team Astana, the wait is finally over for the world to see what Vinokurov and all his talent, style and flair can really do here at the Tour of Spain.
Yes, and Alexander Vinokurov still very much a challenger here. As we now move on to stage number 8, we head to Lugo, and the riders now very much near the top of the north of Spain.
Long stage, 173 kilometres, 113 miles, and once again a very smart move coming onto the finish here. This looks like Alexander Vinokurov actually trying to jump off the front end of the main field.
Well, that would be a surprise if he managed to slip the field here, because they've been dicing all day, but nobody really getting away. And it was indeed Alexander Vinokurov, but I don't know if he'll do the surprise here. But, you know, this is a very unusual approach for Alexander. He is trying to ride the field off. Now, this is a deceptively uphill finish here. It's not flat at all. It'll take a strong man to do this. But, you know, the sprinters have watched each other so well that they've lost the stage to Alexander Vinokurov, and he's won it in just over 4 hours. It'll do nothing to the overall lead. Brakovic will keep his golden jersey for another day, but that's a big win for the Astana team because they are now back in the big time. Ruggero Martoli of Lampre in second place, Udo Smyrn is third. Look at that, Paul. Brakovic keeps on just that 5-second advantage over Valverde. There's only seconds across the board. Kashikin completing the top 5 overall. So coming up, the race will continue as we head towards the hills and the climbs. Is this going to be a head-to-head with Vino and Valverde? We'll find out. Don't go away.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark to print smarter, save money, and get more done. Maybe it's time to put Lexmark to work for your important company.
Here's to men, to guys who want to spend more time having fun and less time in the men's room. To guys who want to play a lot more and go less often. And here's to Flomax. It's approved to treat male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. In 1 week, Flomax may help symptoms like frequently waking up at night to go, going often, going urgently, weak stream. For you, Flomax could make a difference in 1 week. Ask your doctor if symptoms are from BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden decrease in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. For more information, call 877-4-FLOMAX. Ask your doctor about Flomax. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Don't let your identity go missing. Shred documents. Check your credit report often. Don't carry unused credit cards. And protect your social security number. I'm Nancy Grace from Headline News. Take the time to make yourself safe. Don't let your home's valuables go missing. Make it hard for burglars to get inside. Lock your doors, lock your windows. Make it look like somebody's there even when they're not. I'm Nancy Grace from Headline News. Be smart and be secure.
No matter what you're searching for, Comcast can help you find it. Just click the Searchlight button from your on-demand menu to look for homes, cars, restaurants, you name it. Searchlight. What are you looking for?
Learn how to improve the energy efficiency of your home. Go to Excel On Demand under Searchlight.
Welcome back. 1,300 kilometers is completed in the Tour of Spain. We're back into the mountains now, and we're on the eve of the first rest day. We're heading towards the top of the Alto Corbetania.
A long stage again for the riders, 206 kilometers, moving away from the Alto Fonsagrada in the morning to finish at the summit of the Alto de Corbetoria. And I can see, looking at this profile, Phil, it's going to be a very difficult stage.
And that's the way it's proved. As always, there's been a breakaway on, but it's come back together again now, and this looks as though we've got the first attack making its way clear.
Alexander Vinokurov, again, a very aggressive rider. You know, he doesn't look at the race handbook at all. All he does is feel how the legs are. But when he feels that he's got the form, he'll go out on the attack.
Well, it looks to me as though Brakovic, this will be his third day in goal today. If he survives, he's in a little bit of trouble there now because he doesn't seem to be moving up. I've noticed that Tom Danielson and indeed Beltran are trying to help him here. Now just slipping away off the back, Ruggero Martoli, who's been up at the front all day. And this is Carlos Sastre here now, and he's really turning the screw, trying to stretch this long, thin line of riders. Virtually all the stars are here, and that acceleration by Sastre has cracked the race leader, Brakovic, and there's no sign of any Discovery boys with him.
Well, big race on here this afternoon. Alexander Vinokurov got the big game day face on. Look at that, the concentration now. He's trying to put pressure on everybody, and it looks to me as if his teammate has come across the gap to join him. Kashakin, these two riders, Phil, are certainly every day we go into the hills doing the old 1-2.
Well, Valverde won't be upset to see Kashikin come up there, because Kashikin, in fact, is higher placed in the overall classification here, and he'll try to push him on a little bit. The rider in the orange jersey, that's the leader in the King of the Mountains there.
That's
and that
Danilo
is
De Luca.
Danilo De Luca at the moment, yeah, but it's actually on loan from Breakaway, because he's also leading in the King of the Mountains as well right now.
A bit of pressure here now. There's a white jersey going forward. That is the leader of the Pro Tour, Alejandro Valverde. He too now is looking very aggressive here this afternoon, trying to get across to the two riders from Kazakhstan. He realizes how important this move is, but Vinokurov goes again.
This is Sastre, number 11. He's on the back wheeler of Danilo De Luca, who's not the man he was a couple of days ago when he won a stage. And Alexander Vinokurov here is now pushing on towards the summit. 1 kilometre to go.
1 kilometre to go. You can see the finish just around the corner there. Vinokurov certainly riding on all terrains here. I think, Phil, around about 10 seconds when they go under that sign there for Valverde and Kashikin. Kashikin in second position here. He will not help at all, because obviously he's protecting the position of his man Alexander Vinokurov in first place.
Well, Andrei Kashikin really didn't have the strength to stay with Vinokurov, and coming up to him is Valverde. Valverde is the man who knows he needs to close this gap down, because Vinokurov is not a threat at the moment. He's still a little way behind overall, but this is going to help. Every stage gives you a win bonus of 20 seconds, and he's going to get that to add on to his time as well. So 2 out of 2. Alexander Vinokurov really has turned his season around here. Now, what is the gap? The clock is counting.
Well, that's the important thing now for Valverde. Seems to have gapped Kashikin a fraction too. This man is riding superbly. Very badly injured in the Tour de France, broke his collarbone, now riding well in Spain, 16 seconds down on Vinokurov. But what's more important, Phil, is where is everybody else?
So Valverde crosses in second place. This is the race for the rest now. Sastre pushing on here. Gomez Marchanti is there again for Sonia Duval, finishes just behind him. The other rider is Danilo De Luca. And this group contains Beltran is in there.
And Brakovic, 2 minutes and 17 seconds, so it's going to be a change in the overall classification. But Alexander Vinokurov, Phil, gets 2 wins in a row. This man's fighting his way back into the Tour of Spain.
Yes, and there will be a change overall now, because Brakovic has lost too much time there. Valverde should be the next leader of this tour, which is still throwing that golden jersey around. First, though, to the stage winner, Alexander Vinokurov has got the victory, wearing the local hat there as he salutes the crowd. Let's have a look at the overall. Yes, Valverde is the new leader by 27 seconds over Kashikin, who he joined on the climb. And Alexander Vinokurov is now onto the board there in 5th place. Brakovic goes down to 6th. Tom Danielson holds on to 13th place, but look at that gap. 6 minutes and 20 seconds down. There's the new leader of the tour. All cheers for Alethandro Valverde. He finally gets his hands on a race leader's jersey in a major pro tour. So we go on. Coming up, the stages 9 and 10 as we go climbing, and Discovery are the men in charge. See you in a moment.
The Hawaiian Islands are surrounded by some of the most pristine water on Earth. It can be exhilarating, inviting, challenging, soothing, and still leave you thirsty for more.
The people of Hawaii would like to share their islands with you in a photo gallery. Dive in at gohawaii.com/picture.
Hey guys, great news. I'm back with the Cialis Promise program. Here's the deal. If you have ED, try Cialis for the first time free. They're so confident you'll like Cialis. If you don't, they'll pay for a sample of the ED tablet of your choice. That's the Cialis Promise. Get all the details at Cialis.com. See how having up to 36 hours lets you choose when the moment is right. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience priapism, an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away. Discover the Cialis Promise program. Are you ready?
This lush expanse of green does more than beautify our world. Trees help clean the air of carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas. As North America's largest recycler, last year alone, Waste Management recycled enough paper to save over 41 million trees. From everyday collection to environmental protection, think green. Think Waste Management.
Welcome back. 2 stage wins in a row for Vinokurov. Now they've had a rest day yesterday. We're now resuming with stage number 10, 190 kilometres.
Yes, a long stage. The riders again moving along the coast here, away from Galicia, leaving Galicia behind them, going right through the Asturias region and finishing in Santillano del Mar. But look at that. That is a profile for an aggressive race.
And this is a very beautiful stage here, but Spain then again is a very beautiful country and very varied, like France is as well. Well, we've had the attacks today, but more or less the field here are pretty much all together. David Miller sitting on the back here, 201, is the man now everybody's starting to talk about. Alexander Vinokurov sitting 5th at 1 minute and 38 off the new leader, remember, and that is Spain's Alethandro Valverde.
Well, Alejandro Valverde is the leader, but this breakaway has got itself a maximum advantage of 9 minutes and 5 seconds, and I don't think they'll be seeing that again. Sergio Paulino in this break, as is Michael Rasmussen here, trying to get off the front, trying to pull himself back into the Vuelta a España. Also, surprisingly, Iban Mayo has looked for the breakaway here this afternoon.
Well, this is a rather nasty little drag up to the finish here, inside 2 kilometres. In fact, Rasmussen made a move there, and they jumped on him and got him, and somebody else has gone now. Now, that must be Sergio Paulino, because he's the only Astana rider in this front group, having a look over his shoulder, and he's going to keep this one going. Now, he might know there's something the others don't know, Paul, because his team manager, Herminio Diaz de Bella, has told him about this finish because he lives in this region, and it looks as though this hill is going to make all the difference. Well, it's deja vu, because we get 2 wins from Vinokurov and now another one from Astana, because Paulino has got his first significant victory since his silver medal in the Olympic Games.
That was David Rebellin just coming across the line in 2nd place, but that was a superbly timed last burst by Sergio Paulino, who was a little bit of a surprise silver medalist in the Olympic Games in Athens. The main field lost an awful lot of time this afternoon, but none of those riders filling that early breakaway were of any danger at all to the overall classification.
Now, all the leaders finishing in the bunch there after the rest day. I think they wanted to continue the rest there. It was a big battle by that front group. There's Sergio Paulino, gets a big win at last after his Olympic triumph. Valverde, though, keeps his overall race lead as we now head on. And don't forget, Andy Roddick, James Blake and Team USA square off against Russia in the Davis Cup semis by BNP Paribas. Presented by AIG, it starts Friday, 2 p.m, only on OLN. So moving on to stage 11 now at Torrelavega, on to Burgos, a very famous part of cycling in Spain here in Burgos.
It certainly is. It's the very heart of Spanish cycling. The race moving away from the velodrome Oscar Freire this morning. Sadly, Oscar Freire not around to celebrate the crowd, but Igor Martinez certainly was. He went out on a very long breakaway, and this is a good move by Martinez. Very reminiscent, Phil, of the move he made on the stage to Saint-Quentin in the Tour de France earlier on this year, but on that occasion it didn't work out.
Looking here now at the Peloton as they try to sort this one out, but Igor Martinez has been riding extremely well today up front, building himself a lead. He's closing in. The leader in the King of the Mountains at the moment is Pietro Calcioni. Now, he got it off Brakovic 2 days ago. This is the composition of the front group. Gustav is here, and Landalu's riding very well for Euskaltel.
Well, none of those riders either dangerous. You can see the main field spreading out across the road. There's certainly no organisation. Alejandro Valverde looking very comfortable in the golden jersey, and he's obviously thinking about the possibility of taking that golden jersey all the way up to Madrid. This man is a strong bike rider. Garcia, Acosta on the front, but I tell you what, the weather seems to have changed. 20 degrees Celsius. The riders, I think, may appreciate the temperature drop, but not the rain.
This is what happens when temperature plummets 10 degrees Celsius in a day. The thunderclouds roll in, but up for the leaders. They've missed that heavy shower, which has doused the peloton. 9 kilometers to go, and Igor Martinez has made a significant move here. The other two don't seem to be able to follow.
Well, that's Gustav in first place for Team CSC, another rider for the future. 55 seconds now, the gap between Martinez and those two chasers. And we're looking at around about 3.5 minutes back to the main field. These two, Phil, are certainly not chasing.
This will be a significant result too for Team Discovery Channel here. They've been leading the team since stage 5 and they don't look like losing that right now, but Igor Martinez is going to win his first race, in fact, since 2003 when he won the overall classification of the Tour de l'Avenir. He never won a stage of that race, Paul, so really this is his very first road race victory. Igor Martinez, 28 years of age, gets his Team Discovery back on the Vuelta map.
Well, it's a good ride by him, well timed. He deserved the win this afternoon. He went off on a lone breakaway, got caught by the two other riders, and then still had something left to go for the move at the end.
Here's the peloton coming home here, swept up there by Torhashov and Alexander Usov, but a little way down, just on 3.5 minutes. And the first career Grand Tour stage win for Igor Martinez. No change overall, they all finished together again. Torhashov building his points competition lead, Valverde holding 27 seconds over Kashikin. Further down, Tommy Danielson still hovering there at 6 minutes 20 in 15th place. Brakovic still staying up there in 6th place overall. But Valverde, for him, it's a third day in the golden jersey now. And still a long way to go, and still the big mountains lie ahead when fortune favours the brave, and even the sprinters can be surprised. We'll be back with more coverage of the 61st Vuelta España. See you in a moment.
Returns this October on Versus.
It's too small, car's too small.
Autoclaustrophobia. It's taken a devastating toll, but its days are numbered, thanks to the all-new Nissan Versa. Versa treats small car symptoms with best-in-class interior space.
Now this is roomy.
Versa lets you be carefree and hands-free with Bluetooth technology.
I like that.
Versa will help you take control of autoclaustrophobia today. Ask your Nissan dealer if Versa is right for you.
You're so cute.
The girls next door know that life at the mansion isn't just one big party, it's a million little ones. And beginning tonight, the party starts at an all-new time, 10, on the next all-new episode.
I absolutely love to do party planning. Today is Wednesday's birthday party.
The girls answer the call of the wild.
The dog pizza was amazing.
And do some heavy petting. Watch an all-new The Girls Next Door at an all-new time, tonight at 10 and Tuesday at 10 on E!
Great, the power's out, but you've got a flashlight, right? With dead batteries. Introducing the everlasting Faraday flashlight, voted USA Today's Product of the Year. It works every time, without batteries, guaranteed. The secret is our exclusive charging technology. Just shake Faraday flashlight for a few seconds, and you get bright light without batteries every time. Faraday flashlight is great for home repairs. Just shake and shine. Everlasting Faraday flashlight is perfect in the car. Use Faraday flashlight in your boat, RV, even while camping. The powerful beam can be seen over a mile away. The Faraday flashlight is waterproof, shock resistant, and so tough we guarantee it for life. Get the amazing Faraday flashlight for the incredible price of just $19.95. But wait, call now and get the pocket-size Everlasting Faraday flashlight, a $15 value, absolutely free. Get Everlasting Faraday flashlight. Call now.
Call 1-800-345-9400 to order the Faraday flashlight for just $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Call now.
Welcome back. Almost 2,000 kilometres will have been covered by the end of this day, stage number 12 of the Vuelta España. We've been right round Spain as we now start to dive back south towards the mountains once again, Paul. We're heading to Guadalajara.
Right through the middle of the country, Aranda de Duero, 162 kilometres down to Guadalajara, which is actually just in the outskirts of Madrid.
Well, a big breakaway today, and again the leader's not too worried. The champion of Italy's jersey there being worn by Paolo Bettini. Arroyo is up here too as a teammate of the race leader, Alethandro Valverde. He's keeping an eye on things, mainly sprinters. Jean-Patrick Nazon once won the last stage of the Tour de France. He's also up here as well. But I don't think there's going to be any change overall if this breakaway can hold it to the line.
Well, none of those riders are at all a major threat at all. It's one of those days that we would call a transitional stage. As we look back in the main field, Alessandro Vinokurov, still 5th overall, but starting to improve, I think, Phil, with every day that goes by.
Still a long way behind, though, the golden jersey of Valverde. A minute 38 is going to make Valverde feel pretty safe there. It's a good buffer. There's the gap at 9 minutes 20 seconds, so they're not going to bring that breakaway back today. The infighting will start pretty soon, I think. The leader's having a day off, but we're heading towards the hills, of course. 4 kilometres to go. This is the leading group.
Well, they're all over the road here. Somebody's trying to ride off the front end of this main field, but they could be just hitting them at the right time. I can't quite see the colour of that jersey, but it's a lime green jersey, liquid gas, so that's Luca Paolini going clear.
Yeah, it's Luca Paolini, the rider who's finished 3rd in this year's Milan San Remo. Only won 1 race. He won it not long ago, actually, just a couple of weeks ago in Italy. And he's going to add 2 now because this will be his first ever major win in a Pro Tour. So he's going to get a stage victory in the Vuelta España. He's never won a stage in a Grand Tour before. He's even looking right into that camera. Lucky for some, Paul, because this will be his 13th career win. Luca Paolini has outwitted them. He's a great sprinter, but he didn't wait for the sprint. He rode away from them.
Well, he waited for the right moment to attack. Just coming across in 2nd place, Bart Dox of Davide Monlotto and Paolo Bettini. But that was a superbly timed sprint by that man. And I'm not surprised that Bettini didn't chase down, because a couple of years ago, Phil, they were teammates.
Well, they're Italian anyway, and they get the stage victory today. As he now looks around at the sprint finish here, being cleaned up by the Lampre team. That'll be Ruggero, Marzoli bringing them over the line there. Back to the podium, and Valverde keeps his overall lead, so he's now been in that golden jersey for 4 days, and no change overall as we move on to stage number 13.
170 kilometres from Guadalajara to Cuenca. Not a very difficult stage, fairly undulating again. Should be a day for the attackers.
Well, one man we haven't talked very much about is in the breakaway today. Michael Bogart, Paul, is riding this race and seems to be looking for his form for the upcoming World Championships. In this breakaway, David Rabelin, Bessie, Lars Bach and Inigo Landaluz again. This is Landaluz pushing the pace.
Well, coming into the outskirts of town now, there's a little descent here, and in fact I think Landaluz has been replaced here by Sanchez. Sanchez, and he's taken advantage of the descent. That group was just all brought back together on that penultimate climb of the day, and the main field now are going to have to do something special to pull back Sammy Sanchez. He's in the outskirts of town.
I don't think they're going to pull him back because Sanchez did a well-timed effect there. It's been a good old 1-2 by Euskaltel Euskadi. Because the last time Samuel Sanchez won the stage was in the Tour of the Asturias in June. And today he's going to add a victory in the Tour of Spain, because that pack, although they've swept more or less everybody up and the big heads have stayed to regroup there, you can see the golden jersey even taking on the sprint here, and that's because Vinokurov is going. They're going head-to-head for the bonus. It's too late for Sanchez. He gets the victory, though, and the big battle there for the places. Hushoff just ahead of Valverde, who's got himself a small bonus. That'll help. There's the result of the stage. Sanchez winning ahead of Hushoff, Valverde, Paolini in the mix again, and Bettini right behind him. Down to the podium, this is Samuel Sanchez with his 10th win of his career and his 2nd ever in the Vuelta. But there is a slight change in the overall. Valverde nudges out a few seconds, now 35 over Kashukin. Sastre is in 3rd. He'll feel pretty happy with that sprint.
Well, he might not feel all that happy, because coming up next, Phil, is going to be the individual time trial, the race of truth.
Indeed it is, and who will come out best there as they now go head-to-head in the individual specialist event? We'll know pretty soon. We'll take a break.
The Mountain West Conference plays here. Thursday, September 28th, revenge is in the air, when the BYU Cougars look to avenge last year's 1-point loss in overtime to the TCU Horned Frogs. On Saturday, September 30th, the hard-hitting defense of the Utah Utes looked to tame the charging offense of the Boise State Broncos. Mountain West Conference football, September 28th and 30th, right here, when OLN will be versus.
The Audi Q7, the SUV, and the creator of Quattro.
Every day, workers across America cover our good name with dirt, dust, paint, oil, grease, and mud. And you know what? We're fine with that. Dickies, a legend in work.
Pizza?
For here to go?
Delivery.
Delivery.
Yeah, delivery.
Lois!
Pizza's here! Hey!
They had a little captain in them because they always designated driver.
Drink responsibly.
Psst, hey, we need to talk. What's up? What's up? You're hogging the family again. We love it out here. You're already the cooking, heating, hot water guy, but now outside? Aren't you spreading yourself a wee bit thin? Not at all. Hey, why don't you join us out here? What? And end up like wood? I'm too smart for that.
Turn your yard into an outdoor family room with propane and add value to your home. Learn more at usepropane.com.
Baby, you can't leave me. I didn't know you didn't like that.
Look, Melissa, you know I like you, but I just don't see where this relationship is heading. Okay, I'm sorry.
There's a better way to phone for less.
Sweet. Vonage!
Unlimited local and long distance calling, just $24.99 a month. Sign up now and get 1 month free.
Do anything you want.
Vonage, one smart decision among many, many stupid ones. Call 1-800-975-3925.
Welcome back. It's time trial day, the first big individual time trial, 21 miles in the Vuelta España. It's important to warm up. We're in the beautiful old town of Cuenca and there's a cobble climb on the course. Vinokurov, is he dreaming of victory?
Testing course, 21 miles, 33 kilometers. A couple of little climbs out on the course, certainly a testing route.
Early on, amongst the early starters, David Miller set the best time, and that is a good result for him. Remember, he's coming back after a 2-year suspension, which ended just before this year's Tour de France, which he rode, and he finished. And Miller setting the pace there, plus 11 seconds at that point on Cancellara. But by the time he got down to the finishing line, he was sprinting for the line, and it was looking like it was going to be just a little bit too slow to beat Cancellara. Here's his Cancellara with his sprint finish, and both riders crossing the line virtually on the same time. But it was Miller who got the fraction of the second over Cancellara. Now, this is Vinokurov on the counter.
Alexander Vinokurov never really been a great individual time trialist, but over the years he's put in some solid performances, especially when the stakes are high as they are here this afternoon. It's important for him to see how he can rival the top men in the overall classification, especially the riders starting behind him. This is Carlos Sastre.
Carlos Sastre, again, like Vinokurov, not one of the most noted time trialists. It should be a pretty even event today between these riders. They know they've got to turn in a good ride. This race really is still very, very close as we pass through 2,000 kilometers now, which is over 1,200 miles completed. Valverde, he goes last, having spent the previous 4 days now in that golden jersey.
Important day for him. Earlier on in the year, Miguel Indurain, the man who won the Tour de France 5 times for Spain, said that this man needs to concentrate on his individual time trialing if he ever wants to win a Grand Tour. Alexander Vinokurov is looking very comfortable. He hasn't got the style, Phil, of an individual time trialist, but his teammate Kashekin does. Kashekin is a lot taller, a lot more profile on his machine.
And has a little bit of a reputation as a time trialist as well, and must be the favourite of the two there to do the best today. This is Sastre waiting for a time check on him as he approaches 20 minutes. There's been no change in any of the leaders, by the way, now for something like 6 days. There's a situation, that's the overall situation. If the race was to end now, Valverde would still be leading Kashekin by 35 seconds. So it looks to me, Paul, as though Valverde is showing a great deal of resistance here. Now, at this checkpoint, Cancellara was the fastest time, although he lies second at the moment at the finish. Vinokurov is pushing him very close indeed. In fact, 5 seconds quicker. Now, that is significant.
That is a great performance by Alexander Vinokurov. 5 seconds faster than a renowned time trialist like Fabian Cancellara indicates that this man is doing a great ride. But what's going to be important to see is how his performance is compared to this man, Alejandro Valverde, who in fact, Phil, is not too far off the overall point here at 20.7 kilometres. Very punchy style for the man, much more reputed as a climber and a sprinter. But today, he seems to be riding a very good time trial. Look at that, 3rd place, 10 seconds off the mark.
And that's superb. That was him climbing up in Cuenca, up that little cobble hill here. Let's go down to the finish line now. Vinokurov is coming to the line. Miller is the fastest here, and he's not going to match David Miller. He slowed a little bit on the way in, Alexander Vinokurov. He comes in with the 3rd best behind Miller and Cancellara.
But he's only lost 5 seconds on those two riders. That just goes to show how good a performance that is. This too is also a great performance by Carlos Sastre. He's looking at a top 5 finish here. He's possibly going to get inside the time of Stein de Volder. No, but that's not too bad for him, because anything inside the top 10, I think, is a bonus for Sastre.
Well, what this time trial is doing is closing the race down rather than opening it up here, because Sastre's done a good ride. Kashekin, a little bit disappointing, I think. Kashekin, remember, 2nd overall, 4th on the line, 26 seconds down. So he's lost time there to Vinokurov and to the leader, Valverde. Well, we don't know about Valverde yet, but he's up on him at the checks.
Well, there's Valverde, inside 1 kilometre to go now, looking very fast indeed, obviously motivated by the golden jersey on his shoulders, an armada of motorbikes behind him, all wanting to get the last possible shot of this man coming into the finishing straight. And that, Phil, also is not a bad time there. He too is looking at top 5. In fact, it's 4th, only losing 13 seconds, but beating everybody else except Alexander Vinokurov.
And so David Miller gets his first victory since he won the World Time Trial Championship in 2003, from which he was disqualified after he confessed to taking drugs. And since then, he's been under suspension. There's the result. Miller is back. A victory in the time trial by a fraction of a second. Just half a second, Cancellara, Vinokurov, all of the big names riding exceptionally well. Sastre in the end finishing 8th. And Tom Danielson at only 1 minute and 14. He was in 12th. But there is the winner on the day, David Miller. He said he was more nervous than a junior rider at the start today. He gets the win. Valverde stays in gold, opens up the lead on Kashekin. Sastre is 3rd. Vinokurov is 4th now. And Tom Danielson now looking for 7 minutes. That is a tough call indeed. Down to the podium again, Alethandro Valverde, another day. He took the lead on stage 9. He's now still got the lead on stage 14. We go on to stage 15.
Heading down towards the Mediterranean, 175 kilometres from Motia, right down towards the finishing town, just outside the Ford factory on the coastline. This is a long breakaway early on. Again, it goes to relax. The team at Garcia here making the move. He got caught here, Phil, just as the main field starts to whip it up, and he doesn't look very happy.
No, the rider's quite content now. Tomorrow morning, in their case, they would face a long transfer down to the south till the race restart at Almeria. Nobody in a particular hurry here today. Well, having said that, 62 kilometres now isn't bad here as the race is being driven on by the teams of Milram.
Getting themselves organised now, the teams of the sprinters looking for a chance here before we start to go into the high mountains once again. They're stretching out this main field into a long line at 2 kilometres to go. This is the back end of the main field. If you're sitting at this point now, you've got very little chance of winning this stage this afternoon. Where you need to be is in the top. There's a crash there.
I don't know how they got down there. Somehow they split the barriers. They've gone behind the barriers. Well, they'll get the same time as the peloton. They're close enough to the finish, but they won't be contesting the sprint now.
Well, they're going to have to find a gap in the fence there. They won't lose any time because, as you said, Phil, that crash happened inside the last 3 kilometres.
Well, this is the tricky approach to the finish now, and it looks as though Team Milram are trying to get Pataki into this now. Bettini's third wheel as they come up. But there is a tight left-hander as they come through now. Zorbel also in the mix. And the man from Lampre who's trying to get the perfect lead out right over to the left is Napolitano, who's a very good finisher indeed here. And Bettini trying to get through. A lot of bumping and barging going on, and Bettini got shut out of that one, and so too did Pataki. A little bit of complaining going on at the back, but meanwhile Robert Forster has come out of the pack and snatched his first ever Grand Tour victory in the Tour of Spain. Remember, he was the man who won the last stage of the Giro d'Italia this year.
Well, I think the barriers there and that little turn just towards the finish line really caught 1 or 2 riders out there. Stuart O'Grady just coming across the line in second place, but certainly no challenge at all to Robert Forster getting his second Grand Tour stage win.
Well, Forster well known around the world, but that's the first time he's won a stage of the Tour of Spain. No change overall. Valverde, in fact, all of those time gaps remain identical. So the second rest day is upon the riders. Then the mountains will be back. Then we'll see who will be the champion by the time we get to Madrid. We're going mountaineering when we come back after the break.
The Hawaiian Islands were born of fire, and that fire is still with us today. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's less so. It can be inviting or surprising. But no matter how hot it gets, it just leaves you hungry for more.
The people of Hawaii would like to share their islands with you in a photo gallery. Fan the flames at gohawaii.com/picture.
The hotter the hot. The colder the cold. The greater the demand. The more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Batteries built to meet or exceed original equipment standards for cold cranking amps. Batteries built with the power to hold up to heavy electrical demands. Batteries so good they come with a coast-to-coast warranty. Built to last. Only at AutoZone.
What's cooking at Stouffer's? A whole menu of restaurant-inspired dishes. Corner bistro entrees from Stouffer's. 6 delicious entrees like seafood scampi, shrimp and scallops tossed in a buttery garlic sauce and served over linguine pasta. It's not what you'd expect from frozen, but it is what you'd expect from Stouffer's. Try our full menu of corner bistro entrees and see what's cooking at Stouffer's.
Hey. It looks ridiculous. I can't even imagine what the neighbors would think. It's an eyesore.
Cable never looks ridiculous. Sign up today for Comcast Digital Cable. Rain or shine, you'll get crystal clear TV reception, unlike satellite. Just call 1-888-COMCAST. Comcast Digital Cable. It's Comcastic.
It looks ridiculous. I can't even imagine what the neighbors would think. It's an eyesore.
Cable never looks ridiculous. Sign up today for Comcast Digital Cable with On Demand. Rain or shine, you'll get crystal clear TV reception, unlike satellite. Just call 1-888-COMCAST. Comcast Digital Cable with On Demand. It's Comcastic.
Yes, welcome back. And the Peloton, there's only 148 of them left at the start today, and this is now the journey up to the observatory at the Cala Alto as they make their journey away from the far south in Almeria.
Well, a fairly short stage as well, and that's going to make it very rapid. There's 2 first category climbs along the route this afternoon as the riders face 145 kilometres with Almeria behind them. But it's an outside categorised climb, the finish up to Alto Calor at the end. And that, I think, Phil, is where we're going to see a very difficult race.
And that's where we'll see all of the action on today's stage, because that is what the leaders are planning on. There's been a breakaway all day. It's thinned right down now, and just one man is surviving. Here he is, Jose Redondo, And this is tactically a good move here by the Astana team of Vinokurov and Kashikin, because they put him up front. As you can see, the weather is not exactly being friendly today.
It certainly isn't. The temperature down to around about 20 degrees Celsius. Redondo leading this group, which is a very small group now, by 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Team CSC are happily on the front end of the main field, trying to put the pressure on. That's Carlos Sastre over on the right-hand side there in the white jersey. That is leader of the combination classification. And there's a move going off the front there. It looks as if one of the riders from Euskaltel Euskadi is going clear.
Redondo is just on 2 minutes ahead of the field there as he continues the climb now, but this little group has sorted itself out so well that they thinned right down once again to the stars of this year's Vuelta España. Euskaltel Euskadi have a couple of guns firing here and tagging onto the back again, Alexander Vinokurov, but the pressure is on at the front here now as Redondo has been joined by Igor Anton, and if you say who, you'll be expected to say that because he's only a young professional rider in his second full year.
Well, it's a big surprise for him to get across that gap, but you can see the hostility starting here. I'm trying to see through the mist and the haze who is going there. It looks as if it's Alexander Vinokurov, and immediately the golden jersey there, number 51, Alejandro Valverde, right with him, and Carlos Sastre in a little bit of difficulty.
Sastre in trouble. Well, let's remind ourselves, next Saturday the road to the PBR finals goes to Michigan with 3 more events before the finals. It's hang on or go home. The PBR Built Ford Tough Series from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Saturday 8 p.m. only on OLN. Well, these two riders now have been joined once again here, and it looks as though we have got Valverde mixing it, Sastre trying desperately to get on terms and allowing plenty of movement here, because this is Igor Anton again.
Well, this man, I don't know where he's got his power from here this afternoon. I'm not sure they'll chase him down, because this is the showdown between these riders, and Carlos Sastre has come back. He was in a little bit of difficulty, but now we're looking at a 3-man chase group, and in fact I think Kashikin is the man who's missed out here this afternoon because he is not present.
Shaking lost ground here, but you know, taking a look at those faces, those guys are at the limit of their ability right now. They're not interested in chasing Igor Anton. He's taken his advantage well here. He's not a marked man in the overall classification. He is, though, just over 23 years of age, and this is his first ever victory as a professional. He only turned pro last year. He's got an early taste of big-time victories here, because he's now won at this very exciting stage of the Tour of Spain, right on the top, a mountaintop finish. He owes himself a great future, I think, but Igor Anton gets his first ever victory.
Well, you can see how hard the stage was as well. 32 kilometers an hour average speed here this afternoon. Alexander Vinokurov is going to come in next there with Alejandro Valverde. Valverde, I would expect to get the sprint, but it may be. In fact, he's coming around. It's a slow motion sprint here.
But it's the bonuses between the top two riders here. They've gone head-to-head again for the second and third place bonus, and victory again going to Valverde, showing he's one of the few climbers in the world who does pack a punch in the sprint. But there's the winner, Igor Anton, celebrating the biggest victory, indeed the only victory of his professional career so far. Stage result then, he wins by 23 seconds, same time for Valverde and Vinokurov and Sanchez, who's starting to improve with every day of cycling this week. Tom Danielson is also improving now. He's beginning to enjoy the climbs, just 30 seconds off in 6th place. Redondo in 9th, down to the podium. No, this is Igor Anton, yes, getting his first taste of the flowers.
Well, if you're going to get one victory, and it's the first victory of your career, you might as well do it in a Grand Tour.
Vinokurov now is in 2nd place, but a minute 42 off. Sastre stays in 3rd there. Beltran is in 6th. Looking right down the list, Tom Danielson continues to improve, although the time gap doesn't, but he's now in 10th place. Alethandro Valverde, though, continues his race for the golden jersey here, as he still looks a very, very solid leader of this tour. We'll go on as we stay in the mountains. They're not over yet, but the weather's a bit better when we come back.
Last year's number 2.
This is the world number 2.
Is this year's number 1.
What an amazing ride. Guilherme Marchi likes number 1 in the world position.
But a trio of world champions are breathing down his neck. And Guilherme Marchi has got to hang on for 8. The road to the PBR Championship runs through Oklahoma City as the PBR Built Ford Tough Series continues tonight at 8. Only on OLN. Brought to you by Enterprise.
Every day, Lexmark printers go to work for some of the world's most important companies. In fact, 75% of the top banks, retailers, and pharmacies use Lexmark to print smarter, save money, and get more done. Maybe it's time to put Lexmark to work for your important company.
No. It's too small.
Autoclaustrophobia. It affects more people than you think.
Oh!
But there's hope on the horizon, and it's called the Nissan Versa. Versa provides relief with best-in-class rear seat legroom. Versa keeps you going for over 400 miles on just one tank. Versa will save the world from autoclaustrophobia, one driver at a time. Ask your Nissan dealer if Versa is right for you.
Who's ready for me?
Yet. 18 golfers will compete on my course for my money. And most importantly, on my terms. The Big Break 6, Trump National.
The Big Break 6, Trump National. Premieres Tuesday, September 26th, 10 p.m. Eastern on the Golf Channel.
Well, it's definitely showdown time now in the Vuelta España as the rides continue through the mountains. The 17th stage, now 104 miles, and we're heading to Granada, which is the third most famous tourist attraction in Spain.
Difficult stage the riders face moving away from Adra on the way into Granada. They could making a little bit more tough as well because Granada is also at the foot of the Great Sierra Nevada. It happens to be one of the highest mountain passes, or mountain roads I should say, in Europe. This is the route the riders face this afternoon. It is going to be a very testing route, and the circuit around Granada down towards the end is where the climb of the day is situated.
And we're looking here now at the leaders of the day, and in fact Tom Danielson has got himself into this breakaway just now, as the pressure has been on all day, but at least the weather has turned around a little bit, and it looks as though CSC have a plan here. It's got to be for Carlos Sastre to try and crack the golden jersey of Valverde.
Well, Valverde there is in the golden jersey, sitting now behind the man who wears the white jersey as leader of the combined classification, and that is Alexander Vinokurov. But there's a lot of pressure on the race here this afternoon as they move around what I think is a very pretty part of southern Spain.
Well, it is, but you can see there the field is splitting up, and that's because Tom Danielson has tried to get away from that leading group. It was 13 men. But Danielson has pushed on here now. He's been getting better and better every day of this race now, pushing himself into being top dog once more on Team Discovery. Looks like a little bit of attack there going from the golden jersey of Valverde, quickly marked by Alexander Vinokurov. Again, the same three are at it. Sastre isn't far off either.
Well, Valverde's making the move here. He wants to try and put the hammer down as we get down towards the finish. Sastre taking the steepest gradient around that corner there, pulling himself back up as well. His team have done a lot this afternoon to try and toughen up the race for this last 30 or 40 kilometres to try and put time between himself and Andrei Kashekin, because Sastrefil is looking at a podium position. Hats off to Tommy D here, because he's now got about 1 minute and 6 seconds over Marchante and Kashekin, and around about 2 minutes over the rest. But he's thrown caution to the wind here this afternoon as Vinokurov now goes.
Well, no one would really have expected this now. Vinokurov is now decided to attack the golden jersey and to see if he's got any legs. Now, yesterday, these boys looked as though they were at the limit of their ability, and naturally in this third week, they're very tired. But now it's a different day. The weather is warmer, and it looks as though Alexander Vinokurov is fancying his chances.
Well, he's come up here to Andrei Koshekin, his teammate, and that will turn the tables, I think, against Alejandro Valverde, who seems to be struggling here a little bit. He's in company of Carlos Sastre, but they have been gapped on this climb. This is going to be a very difficult day. Valverde now, Phil, has to prove that he's a great champion because he's being seriously challenged by the man who is in second place overall, Vinokurov.
Well, Sastre there either can't help or is forcing Valverde to use every ounce of his strength there to try and get across the gap. It doesn't look to me as though he is going to. Well, this is the chase down on Danielson.
Well, at 5 kilometers to go, that looked as if Alexander Vinokurov had got away on the descent and was about to join Tommy Danielson at the front of the race, and the man who is missing out this afternoon is Valverde.
Well, he knows he's got a big problem now because Vinokurov has really worked hard to get up into second place overall, but a low second place overall, yes, he's still looking for a lot of time. 1 minute and 42 seconds. Remember, he's in a bonus position here now because he's gone up to Tommy Danielson, who's found the legs to go with him. And Danielson's been out front a lot of this day as well in the breakaway. He's now the only survivor of that breakaway.
Well, 1 minute and 18 seconds between the two riders at the front, Vinokurov and Danielson, back to the man who wears the golden jersey. This could be a change in the overall classification, Phil, on a day when nobody would have expected it.
Absolutely not, Paul. You're absolutely right. 8 days now, the golden jersey has been on the shoulders of Valverde, who's looked pretty solid. But one has to say that today, I think they've caught him unawares. And in fact, Vinokurov, surely Valverde wasn't expecting this. Vinokurov has gone away now with Tom Danielson. Danielson has been able to help him a little bit too because he's got something to gain as well. He's looking for the top 6 finish as well in the Vuelta España. Now, will he take on Vinokurov in the sprint? Because there are again bonuses at stake here, and I'm not sure Vinokurov has enough time to get the lead. But anyway, Vinokurov not contesting it. Tommy Danielson gets the biggest win of his life at 28 years of age, and he gets the victory there. Now, coming up, this looks as though we've got Sanchez has got clear as well.
Good ride by Sammy Sanchez. He'll get third, but look at the time gap, 1 minute and 8 seconds, and Alejandro Valverde has still to cross the line. Here he is, the golden jersey on his shoulders. They will sprint it out for the lesser places here this afternoon, but the clock, Phil, may be going against the man in gold.
Well, I'll tell you what, taking into account time bonuses, when that clock hits 1 minute 30, Valverde will be out of the golden jersey, and he is. It's now counting in favour of the new leader of the Tour of Spain, and I really don't think anybody expected that. Koshekin finishes it off for his team as well. Gomez Marchand in 5th place. But Tommy Danielson, Paul, at last, he's come good, better and better every day of this Tour. He gets his first Grand Tour win.
He will rue the time that he lost in the first week of this race, but he will enjoy the victory of that stage there, Phil. Stage number 17 ahead of Alexander Vinokurov, and that will do him in good stead as well because he'll move up in the overall classification.
Well, these are the stage results. We'll then go on to the overall classification, and we're going to see a new man in the golden jersey. But for the moment, enjoy this. The Durango kid from Colorado. He gets the victory today, Tommy Danielson, and he's now best man on the team as well. But there's confirmation. Vinokurov has got the golden jersey by 9 seconds. It's not over yet. It's between 2 men, it seems. Danielson is at 6 minutes now, but is in 6th place in the race. Beltran having a great tour as well, Tricky in 7th, and Samuel Sanchez there in 8th. So it couldn't be more perfect for the rider from Kazakhstan after his disappointing Tour de France. He will see this as a little bit of revenge against the organisations of the Grand Tour. So the race goes on, the mountains are not over, the biggest of them all is to come, and that's the next stage. We'll take a break, join us on the Sierra de la Pandera.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing in the white corner, 4, 5.
That was some shot. Out of the blue corner, your winner by TKO.
Does back pain limit your motion? Get relief with Icy Hot Pro Therapy, powered by Hot Packs.
100 boxes a day? No problem.
My back stays warm and loose.
Relief and support.
Pro Therapy from Icy Hot. It's about freedom of motion.
If you want your hard-earned dollar to go a whole lot farther, get to Advance Auto Parts for our 10 items for $10 sale. It's your chance to stock up and save big on all sorts of stuff, from gas treatment to air fresheners.
We're ready in advance.
Hey guys, great news. I'm back with the Cialis Promise program. Here's the deal. If you have ED, try Cialis for the first time free. They're so confident you'll like Cialis. If you don't, they'll pay for a sample of the ED tablet of your choice. That's the Cialis promise. Get all the details at Cialis.com. See how having up to 36 hours lets you choose when the moment is right. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions and all medications, and ask if you're healthy enough for sexual activity. Don't take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Don't drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help if you experience priapism, an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease in vision, stop taking Cialis and call your doctor right away. Discover the Cialis Promise Program. Are you ready?
Hughes has dominated every fighter in his division, except for one. The prodigy, BJ Penn, who shocked the world by submitting the then world champion and then walking away from his title. Now Hughes wants his revenge.
They get to avenge a loss.
And Penn returns to claim what he feels is rightfully his.
I'll be Matt Hughes again.
The Ultimate Fighting Championship presents UFC 63, Hughes versus Penn. Live Saturday, September 23rd on Events in Demand pay-per-view.
The hit movies you want to see are playing this week on In Demand pay-per-view. Death is coming again. Final Destination 3, now on pay-per-view. The Masters of Spoof are back.
So sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I've taken bullets to the face before.
And no one is safe.
I love this woman! I love this woman!
Scary Movie 4, now on pay-per-view on In Demand pay-per-view. Get it now from Comcast Digital Cable.
And welcome back. Yes, after 2 days of climbing some mountains, this is the biggest of them all now. It's only been climbed twice before in the Vuelta España. The winners then, Alethandro Valverde in 2003 and then Roberto Heras.
The riders moving away from Granada. A fairly nice start with a third category climb early on, but it's all about the end of the stage here, because once they get down to the end of the stage, the Sierra de la Pandera will have its word to say on today's stage of the Vuelta a España. As you can see, meandering through the valleys around Granada, heading up towards the north slightly, but it's all down towards the very end. First of all, there's a second category climb, then all of a sudden the race starts to get tough.
And the slopes of the final climb on the narrow road are up to 17%. And as always, the breakaway, but there's only one survivor now. CSC's Nicky Sorensen here. And about 20 kilometers from the finish, the peloton are around about a minute.
It's like Iban Mayo down there, and the man in the orange jersey just overtaking him would normally be in a Discovery Channel jersey. That is Igor Martinez, who's taken over the overall lead in the King of the Mountains classification, and he is having a very good end to the Vuelta a España this year.
Yes, he did. He did it yesterday, in fact, on the day his teammate Tommy Danielson won. So Team Discovery having a late flourish in this year's Vuelta a España. Mayo, I think, has been very disappointing, though, Paul.
Well, he has. He's an enigmatic rider, and I wonder if it's got anything to do with the fact that he might be changing teams towards the end of the season. I think when it comes down to mentality, Mayo has a very fragile mentality, but he is a very talented rider on certain days.
Well, they've gone straight past Nicky Sorensen there as they plough on. This is Igor Martinez showing us now he is a climber of the future as well. Another one of the young men that Rohan Brunel hopes will carry Team Discovery into the big races next year. But the big battle really is here. And look at this, because that is a move by the yellow jersey. Well, the golden jersey. Anyway, this is Vinokurov, who's not waiting. Remember, the gap overall to Valverde is 9 seconds. I'm not surprised he's annoyed with the motorbikes, Paul, because frankly, they get in the way all of the time.
The race is too narrow here for all of these motorbikes. There's about 15 of them want to get the final shot, the best shot of the day, and that's why they've caused a little bit of a barrage there right in front of Alexander Vinokurov and Alejandro Valverde in a spot of bother here. This was the only way, I think, for Vinokurov to do it, Phil. With a 9-second advantage at the start of the day, he really needs to try and get a few more seconds, because let's not forget this race finishes on the penultimate that day with an individual time trial.
You've got to salute this man. Attacking when you're wearing the leader's jersey takes an awful lot of doing, and when the fact is the riders can't follow, it means he's got them where he wants them. This is the steepest part of the climb of the Pandera. That is Gomez there, who's had a terrific tour, and he's got just behind him Kashikin, who's just watching now because his teammate is free as a bird.
Well, these two riders from Kazakhstan have been absolutely superb in this race here this afternoon. Just looking a little bit further back, you can see the damage that this climb is doing. It's a very difficult climb with some points at 17%. Alejandro Valverde is in difficulty this afternoon because, again, we're going to look at the two riders from Kazakhstan joining forces at the front.
And how often have we seen this? They weren't racing to keep the yellow jersey in-house, though. They were racing for that jersey previously. Now they've got themselves together. Vinokurov looks over, sees that it's Andrei Kashikin, who's now setting the pace here. Now, is Vinokurov going to allow the victory? And he is. He's giving Kashikin the victory again. I'm wondering how wise that is. 12 seconds bonus he's given away. 20 plays 12, 8 seconds bonus he's given away. This is the race for the rest now.
Well, that's Marchante coming up. This rider too, Phil, in this last week of the Vuelta is moving up in the overall classification. He's a young rider on Saunier Duval, and I think we'll see a lot more of him. And just behind him is the white jersey of Alejandro Valverde, losing chunks of time again to the top man in this race, Alexander Vinokurov.
Well, the last day's time trial, or the penultimate day of the race, the time trial will decide all now, but the gap has certainly opened again now, and the way Vinokurov has waved goodbye to the mountains of this year's Tour of Spain with a ride like that must now see him as the champion-elect. The riders continue. Samuel Sanchez coming in. Tommy Danielson there as well. He continues to ride extremely well in the latter stages of this race. But for Kashikin, a big victory for him, and his teammate has allowed him to have it just as he did to Danielson the day before.
Well, this sponsor that's come in, Astana, will be very happy, I think, Phil, with the Vuelta a España. They resurrected a team from Kazakhstan, first and second on the stage.
Danielson coming in just 46 seconds back there in 8th place. And Sastre in 10th place, as we now see Sheshkin on the podium here, getting the win. Astana, another big stage win for them. It's the 4th of the race so far. And that's the difference now. He's opened it up to almost a minute. Had he won the stage, it would have been over a minute over Valverde. Danielson now looking solid in that 6th place. The time trial then will decide the final positions for this year's Vuelta a España. And Manuel Beltran having a great tour as well. Vinokurov is going to feel pretty happy now as he heads to the final weekend of the Vuelta.
Well, a lot more confident, I would think, with that advantage. The next stage, 19, 205 kilometers. The riders move away from Jaén, which is a beautiful town just towards the south of Madrid. A second and the 2/3 category climbs along the way, and a finish, which should be a day for the sprinters in Ciudad Real.
Even though it's undulating and hardly a flat road, it's not a day, it's a perfect day for a breakaway, because 127 miles is a long way on the eve of what is now a crucial final time trial. And there's the peloton, and as predicted, they're taking it easy, having left Jaén. In fact, they're way behind schedule as they allow a breakaway to succeed today.
Well, as you expected, a breakaway did go clear. 4 riders surviving here, Phil, from what was an early morning breakaway of 8 riders. And now the winner of the stage is going to go to one of these men.
Lars Bak tried it. He got swept up now. The non-sprinter of this leading group is, in fact, Arrieta, and he's just won a stage. Jose Arrieta getting the victory, and he'll be as surprised as everybody else. Here comes the peloton, quite a long way behind here. Hushoff on the right of the picture, just getting pipped there on the line, but keeping a big lead in the points competition. So Jose Arrieta finishing ahead of Fofanov, Loosely and Bak and Gusev, all members of that long breakaway today.
Well, the amazing thing about Jose Luis Arrieta, Phil, I think this is only the 2nd victory in his career. We have to go back to 2002 when he last won a race.
And the situation unchanged on the eve of the crucial time trial now. 53 seconds advantage Valverde, 2 minutes 6 on Kashikin, and those gaps are unlikely to alter for the podium places. Alexander Vinokurov now is 48 hours away from victory, but he's got to handle the time trial, and that's next when we come back. See you all in a moment. It's the battle of the greats now, for who will win this tour this year.
the Audi Q7, the SUV from the creator of Quattro.
Puerto Rico. Explore beyond the shore.
What is character? Is it in your blood? Or can it be learned? Is it timeless? Is it obvious? Or is it impossible to define? Will you recognize it when you see it? Not if you have to ask. Hennessy VS Cognac, pure character.
Welcome to Ranger Country, where the redesigned Polaris Ranger with electronic fuel injection outruns, outcarries, outhauls, outpulls, and outrides every utility vehicle out there. The Polaris Ranger with electronic fuel injection. Polaris Ranger. Hardest working, smoothest riding. For proof, go to PolarisIndustries.com.
Baby, you can't leave me. I didn't know you didn't like that.
Look, Melissa, you know I like you, but I just don't see where this relationship is heading.
But...
Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, that's... Oh.
There's a better way to phone for less.
Sweet. Vonage!
Unlimited local and long distance calling, just $24.99 a month. Sign up now and get 1 month free.
I'll do anything you want.
Vonage, one smart decision among many, many stupid ones. Call 1-800-975-3925.
Yes, after 1,900 miles of this year's Tour of Spain, two riders can still win it. They're separated by less than a minute, and this couldn't be more possible now, Paul. We call it the race of truth, but right now, that's exactly what it is.
Short time trial, 27.5 kilometers, pretty much around the outskirts of Madrid, but it is a big day, not only for a battle for first and second place, but it's also a battle between third and fourth place. Carlos Sastre would definitely like to climb onto the podium if he can. A fairly technical course in the early part, but these are big, long boulevards, so it should be a fast time trial.
It's really a weekend in Madrid for the riders now. As tomorrow, of course, they will race home on the final stage. But right now, we're looking here at Laszlo Badrogi. He's the champion of his country, Hungary, and he's setting the best time, as would be expected, I would think. But the interest is not on who actually wins the time trial today, but what will be the time gaps between the last two riders to start. There's the time to beat, 34 minutes and 5 seconds. Meanwhile, back here, it is Alexander Vinokurov and Valverde who are doing all the warm-up, and they're not looking at one another.
Well, Valverde getting himself concentrated, a little bit more relaxed, I think. Vinokurov, after all, for 27 kilometers, he's not very likely to lose a minute to the man who's challenging him. But you know, on a day like this, anything can happen.
Well, Carlos Sastre, who needs to pull off a special ride now to try and climb into a top 3 finish. That'll be a tough call for him now. He finished 4th in this year's Tour de France. At least that's the way it is at the moment, depending on the outcome of the Floyd Landis case. Looks like Tommy Downsall coming in. Another good ride by Tommy. He really has come strong over this last 10 days of this tour.
Yep, 8th place finish for him, losing about 58 seconds, but it's into the starting gate now for Alejandro Valverde in the white jersey as leader of the UCI Pro Tour. An important rendezvous for him. Not a great individual time trialist, but maybe a little bit of inspiration coming from the fact that he's racing in front of a home crowd.
Well, I have to say that Valverde, after he'd worn that leader's jersey for 8 days in the middle of the tour, I really thought no one was going to get it off him. But the attacking riding by Alexander Vinokurov was the key to the situation. Now, he has to pull out the ride of his life. This is the last man to go. Alexander Vinokurov, 33 today, by the way. What a birthday present if he can confirm his victory in this race.
Yep, 33 years of age, going out, starting last man in the golden jersey. He has the advantage of starting last, and he will know and have information passed to him of all of the times being produced by Alejandro Valverde, who starts just 2 minutes in front of him. First time check.
Yes, Sastre at 11.3 kilometres. That's around about 7 miles, 9 seconds off the pace. That's a good ride from Carlos Sastre, sitting 6th at the moment.
Sitting in 6th place, but he's interested to see the performance of Kashakin because that's the man who lies just in front of him in the overall classification. Valverde here looking very good as he too looks for that first time check at 11.3 kilometres. Not doing too bad.
This is an excellent ride. Well, he pulled out a great time trial about 8 or 9 days ago, and this is another good one. This rider really is developing into a total all-rounder as far as cycling goes. He's got all the quality of a big race winner.
Next man to come to that time check will be this man in the golden jersey, the man who took the race lead away from Alejandro Valverde. Doesn't look like a very good individual time trialist, but he looks very powerful. But look at that time, it's going to go very close to Valverde's. In fact, I think it's just going to go outside the time of Valverde. So Valverde is actually pulling time back on Vinokurov.
Not quite 53 seconds or so, but he's got 3 seconds back at the moment on Alexander Vinokurov. As we swing back to the finish now, this is the arrival of the former winner of the white jersey in the Tour de France, Vladimir Karpitz, and second best time for him. Madrogi still in the hot seat. So don't forget too to discover the secrets to athletic genius and take a look into the soul of a champion. Tom Brady, Jeff Gordon, the world's most elite athletes offer a rare glimpse into the soul of a champion. It's a new original series, premiering next Sunday at 10 on OLN. Well, Paul, the battle between the greats here is between Valverde and Vinokurov as we quickly switch back. Now, this is an incredible ride by Samuel Sanchez.
Well, it's an amazing last week by Sammy Sanchez. This is going to be a brand new best time. It is a brand new best time, 33.45. Now, that shocks me a bit, Phil, because a couple of years ago, he lost the lead in the Tour of the Basque Country because of his time trialing ability.
Well, that was a big surprise, but Sanchez, the best in the house. Sastre finishes. He's improved a little bit along the way. He's in with the 5th best time, but I don't think he's living with the speed of either Valverde or indeed Vinokurov. This is Valverde, the man in white who races now, and I don't think he's done enough here to steal the Tour in the last weekend.
Well, he seems to have faded a little bit. At the last time check, he was just about equal with Alexander Vinokurov. He's now looking at the time of Sammy Sanchez. I don't think he's going to beat that. He's gone outside the time of Sammy Sanchez. But for him, this is a great individual time trial, Phil, because Valverde is not a time trialist. He's more of a climber.
Well, that's true, Paul, but you know, he's also a rider who last night I think had conceded defeat here because he knew he couldn't really match the rider today. And in fact, Alexander Vinokurov is coming in, and look at the time here, because he's challenging the best time at the finish of Sanchez, and it could be he's going to win his 3rd stage of the Vuelta España. Now, he hasn't won a time trial to my knowledge since a stage in the Tour of Germany about 4 years ago, and Vinokurov now looks as though he might be doing that. It's not far to the line, and that will give him an increase. He wins the stage on his 33rd birthday. His average speed a shade under 50 kilometres an hour, 30 miles an hour, and he salutes the crowd because he knows now the final ride into Madrid should be one of a lap of honour.
It should be one of a lap of honour for Alexander Vinokurov. A great way to finish off the Vuelta a España for him. But look how he battled over those final few metres. He could see the clock on the line above him, and he knew he had to stop it before it reached the time of Sammy Sanchez.
Yes, and another win indeed for the Astana team. Vinokurov himself getting 3, Sanchez a surprise 2nd, Valverde 3rd, 19 seconds slower than the man who's now going to win the Vuelta España 2006. O'Grady's had a great tour and 6th in the time trial. But here he is now on the podium on his 33rd birthday, and he doesn't look at all that age, does he?
He certainly doesn't. A great performance by this man because he's now extended his lead in the overall classification in the individual time trial. Strange race.
1 minute and 12 seconds over Valverde. Now Tom Danielson consolidates in 6th position, should hold off that 20-second gap over the ever-improving Samuel Sanchez. Karpitz up there in 8th as well. But the golden jersey, now just one ride to come into Madrid tomorrow, and then he'll become the first ever rider from Kazakhstan to win the Vuelta España. Well, the racing's all done around the country. We're now racing in the sunshine into Madrid, and that's where we'll be when we come back. The final stage coming up.
Hawaiian Islands are surrounded by some of the most pristine water on Earth. It can be exhilarating, inviting, challenging, soothing, and still leave you thirsty for more.
The people of Hawaii would like to share their islands with you in a photo gallery. Dive in at gohawaii.com/picture.
It's too small, car's too small.
Autoclaustrophobia. It's taken a devastating toll. But its days are numbered, thanks to the all-new Nissan Versa. Versa treats small car symptoms with best-in-class interior space.
Now this is roomy.
Versa lets you be carefree and hands-free with Bluetooth technology.
I like that.
Versa will help you take control of autoclaustrophobia today. Ask your Nissan dealer if Versa is right for you.
You're so cute.
I do enjoy drinking Guinness at a tailgating party.
Yes, and I've discovered that the local custom is to wear cheese on your head. So, to fit in, I brought along some hunks of Limburger.
Limburger cheeseheads? Brilliant!
Brilliant!
I'm not so sure we're fitting in.
I smell feet.
Whatever the occasion, drink responsibly.
Brilliant!
Need new tires? Get to the big Bridgestone rebate event for up to a $100 mail-in rebate on select Bridgestone Dueler tires, September 7th through October 7th. Only at your local participating Bridgestone and Firestone retailer. Wherever you see this Bridgestone sign.
Can an odor-free cream stand up to your back pain?
Benefit Asper-Cream.
Asper-Cream is clinically proven to knock out the pain with the maximum strength formula that's odor-free. Arthritis pain stopped?
Benefit Asper-Cream.
In the battle against dry, rough, cracked feet, are you losing? Fight back with Gold Bond Foot Cream. Its penetrating formula helps heal dry feet like ordinary lotions can't. For victory over rough, cracked skin, Gold Bond Foot Cream. Victory over defeat.
People could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance by switching to Geico. It says here, new customers report average annual savings of over $500.
Easy money.
Easy money. You do have to go to geico.com.
Which is like what? Asking you to stand up? Hello there, you know, if you stand up, you could save loads of money. I doubt you're going to be like, no thanks, I'm so rich, I think I'll keep my seat.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back for the final time now, because we are in Madrid. The stage starts and finishes here. It's the last day of the Vuelta España. Let's take a look at the final route the riders face. No challenges on this one, Paul.
Certainly not. 142 kilometers for the final stage, moving around Madrid before finally coming into the very heart of the city for a finishing circuit, which is absolutely superb, and everybody will be trying to get a victory on the final day here, right in the heart of Madrid, the capital.
Well, of course, a lot of the sprinters lost along the way, not least Robbie McEwen, who rode so well in the Tour de France this year. He went out pretty early on in the opening week. The peloton more or less all together, and now riding his golden bike with the shorts to match, the leader of the Vuelta España, Alexander Vinokurov. In the next few minutes, he's going to be crowned the first ever Kazakhstan rider to win it.
Certainly has been a great Vuelta a España for him. He certainly took it to the riders like Alejandro Valverde onto the finishing circuit now, starting to get themselves organised. The green train of Crédit Agricole trying to bring the final day victory to their man Thor Hushovd.
And just out in front there, Pierre Droncourt of the Bouygues Telecom team from France. He's being swept up, the last of the breakaway. So it's going to be set for a bunch sprint, I think, this one now. And as he comes into the firing line, it looks to me as though Kevin De Weert of Quick-Step is trying to reach him first. But either way, these two are never going to hold off the field as they start the last lap.
Last lap, you can just hear the bell there, everybody trying to sort themselves out. The sprinters are at the front end of this group, pretty much in control, but that's a last-minute burst there by Kevin De Weert. He hasn't got very much more than 5 or 10 seconds, and I'll tell you what, Phil, there seems to be a different team coming to the front now to organise the chase.
Well, he's a brave man to try and hold them off. I suppose somebody's got to do it, and he's giving it his final shot here to distinguish himself in the Tour. First time he'd mentioned his name in 3 weeks of racing, as they come to the end now of the best part of 2,000 miles covered. Many of these riders now heading over to Austria for next week's World Road Cycling Championships.
A lot of riders have really been tuning their legs on this Vuelta a España for the World Championships, but today, Phil, what they are thinking about is victory on the final stage here of the Vuelta in Madrid.
Well, coming up now is a difficult switchback turn, and Kevin here still trying to stay clear of the field. He looks a bit small on that bike, actually, but the whole field behind being led here by Team CSC. A desperate move to try and get a win at last for the Australian Stuart O'Grady.
Well, Stuart O'Grady has been very consistent throughout this Vuelta. He's been there on the big mountain stages. He's ridden high up in the overall standings in the first week. And today, I think he too would very much like to go out with a win on the last stage.
In all, 134 riders in the field now. That's all that's going to finish this year's Vuelta from the 189 that started down in that team time trial in Malaga just over 3 weeks ago. And still the work being done by Team CSC. Remember, they're bringing Carlos Sastre home in 4th place as well. His same finish as he got in the Tour de France.
They've almost finished the full team. The only man from Team CSC not finishing this Vuelta is Fabian Cancellara, although he was very prominent in the individual time trials. They've got the firepower. All they have to do now is make sure that Stuart O'Grady does not get boxed in the final corner.
In fact, you saying that, Paul, only the Case Depart team of Alethandro Val Valverde and the Discovery Channel team are bringing all of their 9 starters back home. And good credit to them. Some of them, like Boyd Telecom, coming home with only 3 riders left. Inside 2 kilometres to go, under the tree line there.
Under the tree line, 2 kilometres. That's around about 2 minutes at this speed. We're well in excess now of 60 kilometres an hour. It's still red, white and black on the front of Team CSC, keeping the pressure on in a very long straight line as they try to wind it up now. O'Grady will be in around about 7th or 8th position, and all of the other sprinters will be queuing up on his wheel.
Well, in all honesty, it's the first time we've seen a team get control here of the race and the sprint finish, but they've lost it now because they've allowed all of the sprinters to come through on the inside.
Well, inside the final kilometre, there's a nasty bend, and this is it. And it looks as if somebody's gone down in the middle there. It looked like a rider from Case d'Epargne. I didn't see who exactly it was, but that will cause a little bit of confusion at the front end of the group.
And the camera's going. In fact, it looks like Pablo Lestrade who's gone down there. Well, they'll get the same time as the bunch, but that won't be any consolation. He's missed out now, and he's dropped out of the race. This is now the rustle and tussle for the last stage sprint. And there aren't very many good sprinters left in this race now. Can Thor Hushoff do what he's done before on the Tour de France and win the last stage?
Well, they may have got caught out. There's a rider over on the right-hand side there, and he's got a gap of around about 10 or 15 metres. Difficult to see in the shadows who it is, but it looks like a Rabobank jersey, and this may well be the thing that's going to outwit the sprinters.
Well, that tall, lanky figure could well be Herrillo here as he tries to hold them off. He's taken the moment, but in fact, it looks as though he's being chased down here. And it could well be Marco Velo who's trying to get onto his wheel and thus drag with him Eric Zabel. There's a long line. There's only about 8 or 9 men in with a chance now of winning this stage. Hushoff is right there as well, and Zabel has broken for the line. Hushoff is taking him shoulder to shoulder, but Eric Zabel, is he going to hold off? It looks like he might. As Eric Zabel comes to the line and salutes first, he just pips Thor Hushoff on the line. Okay, Hushoff will win the points competition, but Eric Zabel has never won the last stage of a Grand Tour before.
Well, I tell you what, he's been very close on a number of occasions. 5 times he's finished second on the Champs-Élysées. He's finished second in Milan. He's finished second twice here in Madrid on previous occasions. But today, as you said, Phil, it's the first time ever the German has won the final stage of a Grand Tour.
It must be the vintage years, because Zabel is now 36 years of age and he's now won his second stage in these 3 weeks of racing. So hats off to Eric. He in fact won stage 4 way back in that opening few days of the Vuelta a España. There's the sprint, quite a clear victory. Hushoff second again, and Aurélien Clerc in 3rd place, and Robert Forster, the winner a few days ago, 4th this time. And O'Grady, despite the attempts by his team, he's got into the top 6, but won't be too happy with that 5th place.
Well, you can see Eric Zabel looking powerful as he did many, many years ago, and he'll be happy, I think, Phil, with his form leading up to the World Championships in a week.
And there is the result. It was Pablo Lestras who's crashed. He's been given the same time but has trailed in behind. Ventoso getting 6th here. Freddie Rodriguez without Robbie McEwen, of course. He was here to lead him out. Robbie went home in the opening week. He finishes 7th. Onto the podium. Well, this man has been here before. In fact, to be precise, he has been here 201 times. Eric Zabel is the biggest winner of the current racing crop of men.
And what a consistent performer too, Phil. He doesn't win many races nowadays in his career, but when he does win a race, it's always a big one like this. And at the Vuelta this year, 2 wins for Eric Zabel.
Well, let's have a look at the final result of the Vuelta España. Alexander Vinokurov becomes the first rider from Kazakhstan to win. He opened the gap in the end of 1:12 over the seemingly erstwhile leader, Valverde. Looking further down the list here, Tom Danielson gets a best ever finish, up 1 from last year to 6th. Samuel Sanchez, another performer, in 7th place. And of the rest of the men, Chris Horner finishes the Tour in 20th place. Brakovic, the leader for 2 days, in 30th. Oscar Pereiro may yet be declared the winner of the Tour de France, only 47th in this event, and in fact losing a lot of time and not showing the interest that he seemed to have in the Tour de France. But there's the winner, Paul, Alexander Vinokurov, 1 day after he turned 33.
And what a way he won it. He didn't exactly grapple with the man on his left-hand side there, Alejandro Valverde. He went out and fought him, and then once he had the golden jersey on his shoulders, the class of the man was to go out on the attack and consolidate his advantage.
Oh, don't forget to catch the cyclism on Versus this fall. Versus may be a new name, but you can catch all the same great cycling coverage continuing as the cyclism continues. Same-day coverage of Paris Tours, October the 8th at 5 p.m. That's followed a week later by the Race of the Falling Leaves, the Tour of Lombardy. That's October the 15th, also at 5 p.m. The competition is, as always, right here on Versus, but remember the new name. So, as we say goodbye to you on this occasion, we'll take you to some sights and sounds of the last 3 weeks of racing of the Vuelta España. Up next, it's Shark Hunters. For Paul Sherwen, I'm Phil Liggett saying, see you next time. Goodbye.